It looks like Rupert Lowe from Restore Britain is starting to get under Nigel Farage's skin. And we've got a major announcement from Rupert Lowe on the migrant that did the horrific attack on Monday night in Belfast. So before we get into see what Rupert Lowe has got to say, we've got the Makerfield by-election coming up. And Reform believe Restore have got no chance at all. But the polls are starting to say different, especially depending on which poll you look at. And then we get a question from a reporter for Nigel. Let's have a look at see what they've got to say and what Farage's response is. But if you could like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to turn notifications bell on. And if you could hype the video, I'd hugely appreciate it. And if you want some great tasting coffee to keep you fueled and to drink while you watch these videos, then head over to combatradiahq.co.uk. The link is in the description. Use code YouTube10 for 10% off. Let's see what he's got to say.
When it comes to Makerfield, Restore are doing well here, and it could really help. It could really hurt you. What's Rupert Lowe got that it's appealing to some people?
Elon Musk, thank you. I mean, most people here who say Restore, and by the way, it's not a very big percentage, most people here would not recognise a photograph of it, right? This is stuff that pops up on their phones. That has been the problem with it. I do not believe for a moment it will last.
When it comes to
I definitely don't agree with that. Elon is trying to do a lot for the UK. He's putting a lot of good points across, but nothing to do with the Makerfield election. And if you put a picture out there for anyone that's even a little bit into politics, I think they would know who Rupert Lowe is and who Restore Britain are. They've had huge momentum over the last few months and did extremely well in Great Yarmouth and are polling pretty well when it comes to the Makerfield by-election. But we will see very shortly who comes out on top. But we know Farage is rattled. We know he's upset. And I'm not saying I don't like Farage. But what I'm saying is I think they definitely do believe that Rupert Lowe and Restore Britain are basically taking votes away from them, which could hurt them in this election and future elections. Anyway, that's the Makerfield news. But now let's look at what's going on with the illegal migrant that attacked Stephen on Monday night, and then has basically since then caused all these protests and riots, which has basically caused outrage not only in Belfast but across the UK. We know Rupert, he's been trying to get to the bottom of it. He's the only one that's really been pushing. Who is this guy? How did he enter the country? Why was he here? How long was he here for? Let's have a look at what Rupert's got to say, and then we can comment on that. Please do comment below what your thoughts are on this.
Good morning, everybody. Just preparing for the Public Accounts Committee, but we've just discovered some dynamite news on the case of Hadi Al-Adid, the barbarous chap who tried to cut somebody's head off in Belfast on Monday. We've discovered that he came to the country through a controversial fast-track scheme nicknamed the Grant Factory. It's still operating. It basically obviated the need for face-to-face scrutiny. It was described by Migration Watch in February 23 as a dangerous folly. It basically was described by the government as a streamlined asylum process which has fast-tracked Eritreans, Syrians, Afghans, Libyans and Yemenis. The two people who were, well, three people, Rishi Sunak was the Prime Minister, who clearly wanted to dispense with this 92,000 case backlog without looking at the consequences. The Home Secretary was Suella Braverman, and the Immigration Minister was Robert Jenrick. So I think this is actually a very disappointing scandal, and we need to hear from all those three of those people as to why they thought this was okay. And I cannot believe that we've got to the stage where the establishment no longer protects our borders, which is their job, until somebody's actually suffered and been seriously injured, lost one eye and possibly two, and suffered the kind of injuries which are not associated with anything that I recognise when I was brought up in this country. So I think it's time we had a steward's inquiry. We need to know the facts. And we need to know that there is going to be urgent action, urgent decisive action from a civil service which, to my mind, is capable of delivering anything. But it's now time that our borders are closed, that this untargeted, unaccountable immigration of illegal migrants who basically may or may not have our best interests at heart, it stops. It has to stop until we can get control of the situation and restore some sort of logic to it.
So there you have it. They fast-tracked certain illegal migrants through the system to get through the backlog. And if you look at the majority of those countries, they're not exactly countries that you would go on a holiday destination to or have the UK's best interests at heart. They are countries where a lot of our enemies or people who don't like us come from. And it's mad to think, and I'm including the Tories in this because it was them as well, but the Tories, Labour, are happy to put British citizens' safety, livelihood at risk because they've got a backlog that they started. They started the issue, they've carried on the issue, hire more people to get through the caseworkers. We've got millions unemployed. Train them up and get them working on the case logs, pay them, but they don't want because it comes under different pots. I can guarantee you this is how it works. I can guarantee it. This isn't factual information, by the way, it's my thoughts, but they come from different pots. So one pot will pay for accommodation, one pot will pay for food, one pot will pay for documentation, administration, and wages. So they're happy to spend billions on hotels instead of spending billions on employing more people, which then puts money back into the economy, which grows the economy, which then gets their illegal migrants' cases through the system quicker. And then obviously if they, are found to be not eligible for indefinite leave to remain, or their asylum seeker application is then rejected, to deport them. They don't want to spend the money on that, but they're happy to spend the money on hotels, food, NHS, mobile phones and all that because they're different pots. But if you hired more people for the Home Office, for anything to do with immigration, border force, etc., you pay people in the UK, they pay tax, they spend that money in the UK, the economy grows. But they don't want to do that. They're happy to fast track them to basically get through the list as quick as possible, but they're happy to put your life at risk. That is my thoughts. That's the takeaway from it. Eritrea, Afghanistan, Syria, possibly was it Iran, but still, those countries, some of them, Afghanistan's, I worked with them, brilliant interpreters, did a lot for this country, need help. But a lot of them support the Taliban, were ex-Taliban, will have family members in the Taliban. So they need to be vetted and correct and checked correctly. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I'd love to know what your thoughts are, so please do comment below. If that fast track system didn't happen, then Stephen may still have both his eyes, may not be laying in hospital, may not have to go for that horrific attack, and may not have to deal with all the mental issues after that as well. And same with his family and friends. Same. So anyway, thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, turn notifications bell on, and hit that hype button. It's much appreciated, and I'll see you soon.